so welcome back to the RSS podcast, the only feed you need. And today with me, I have the iconic Mr. Elite Beatz, Vjuan Allure. Vjuan, thanks for connecting, man, and coming on for a chat. How's things with you?
Oh, no, not a problem. Hello, everybody. How you doing? Great to see you again, my friend.
Yeah. Been a minute, I think.
Yes, been a minute.
Yeah, I think.
But not out of my mind, though.
That's good, man. So yeah, just before the cameras were rolling, we were talking about. I thought it'd be interesting for people to get a kind of behind the scenes look. So obviously, you were saying about different cities that had kind of reopened up recently with regards to clubs after the first initial COVID wave, and obviously, everything being still locked down over here. But yeah, give us a little rundown of what went down.
I'm on the East Coast. New York is still locked down, probably the major cities, as well as Los Angeles. But other cities and states have fully opened. Atlanta is open. It has been open since even before they lifted everything. Atlanta was open. Their clubs reopened to their regular curfews. They didn't have a curfew. So they go until, like I said, 5 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. Atlanta's just doing what it's going to do. Different places are testing. DC is open because what happened was Americans lost our minds at the beginning of summer when the weather got nice and they were not trying to stay indoors. That's what happened. Yeah, and certain states, they went against the curfews and pushed the boundaries. They really didn't get in trouble for it, but they do have the ABC boards for the alcohol running around, so they're shutting some places down that didn't practice social distancing, and they will open them up in a week or so and make sure that you're complying. So it's back and forth, but still it's not even. It's about 40% of the states that have clubs that you knew that blossomed before are open, and the 60 other percent are teetering very slowly to getting open.
Yeah. I think I read somewhere the other week is no, not Denver. It was Indiana. Was Indiana reopening?
Indiana, I do not know.
I guess it's just obviously the US is so big. Like every state's kind of dealt with it a little bit differently, right? So structured slightly differently to the UK, where everything's kind of under one kind of control, I guess. But
yeah, especially states that are party states. Those are the ones that we normally gauge. Is it open to? If Portland was doing their thing, if St. Louis was doing their thing. Other states like South Dakota, North Dakota, we don't know anything about. So it's not one of those states that we look to for parties and stuff.
Cool, man. Well, look, let's have a little deep dive then, man. So I think it'd be interesting to kind of go back to your formative years, what kind of I guess musical influences kind of growing up, and what kind of helped shape your tastes, I guess.
What shaped my taste? I played very aggressively. I was definitely a hip hop head. I learned all of that through hip hop. I learned my style and my flavor through hip hop. So I don't. When people reflect on who writes and who has lyrics, I come from a different age where the lyrics you had to have a flow and a flavor. If anyone was to describe how I play either house or hip hop, it would be like Busta Rhymes. Busta Rhymes flips so many styles and has so much flavor that's the person I looked up to, gauging people on how they were in hip hop. So move that into house, it would be the same thing. I looked up to Armand Van Helden, listening to how he played. I listened up to, I came into house through Maurice and Mr. Saunders out in Chicago, Rock to the Beat. All these things, Break for Love and all that stuff. I was 12 years old when that came out. So I'm listening to these aggressive beats and how people are playing them. And then here comes Todd Terry you know, mixing the hip hop influence into how he's playing house. And that's where I got my whole, my way of playing, my way of thinking about hip hop and house. And it just has moved through my musical career that way. So as far as my taste in DJs, I would hear DJs play house and be very smooth, and I can appreciate the smooth. I'm a musician as well, so I can appreciate what it sounds like, but what it feels like is what I feed off of. So my first DJ hero was Junior Vasquez, Sound Factory, which of course Junior could do no wrong to me. I loved everything he was playing, everything he was making. And then I made a trip to DC and found my mentor. DJ Cedric tore music out of everywhere. He wasn't just a one particular genre fits all kind of person.
Yeah.
He took genres from everywhere and mixed them together and made things. He made you feel different things like on the dance floor. And that's where I found my home.
Amazing. So will you regularly go into the Sound Factory then to kind of like, what kind of is that?
I was say that again.
I'm saying, were you regularly go into the Sound Factory at the time?
Oh yeah, I was the only. Well, no one knew how old I was except for one person in there. I had to have $22 every week.
Right. Okay.
22. It was a fix. I had to go because it was so intense, and it changed. That's the first club I actually went. Well, hadn't seen very many clubs at 12, but it changed every week that you went, from the scenery to everything. And they moved blocks around the club. It was huge, and it was a new experience every week. But what you were going to get was the music. So the atmosphere changed, the scenery changed, but you always got the music. And no alcohol. It was a juice bar. The biggest club in the world was a juice bar.
Amazing. What was the capacity then?
A lot. I didn't know anything. It was a one floor club,
yeah,
but it was a huge room, and it actually had at the end of the club to the right as you come in the main floor, it had stadium bleachers, and people used to stand on them and dance and everything else, you know. But it was just this cavernous room with this huge, the biggest mirror ball I've ever seen, and it would just kill it. It was just great. I don't know how many people got it, but I know it was packed a lot of times. It was very few times in that club that it wasn't packed.
Yeah, was that like mid to late 90s?
This was stepping into the 90s. So you're talking about 1990, 91, like this. That the garage was closed.
Got it.
It had closed already. I wasn't even going to try to get in there. My cousins would never let me go in there. But Better Days had closed, which was another place. Keith Scott played there. Yeah. A lot of other legendary DJs, but I made it in there like 3 times. But that was waiting to go to the Sound Factory. So to me, that wasn't even a club, but it was a club.
Yeah.
The Palladium was open. It was a lot of clubs that were open, but I was dead set on Sound Factory.
Yeah.
Sound Factory ruined me for every other club I could think of at that time, aside from Trax, New York, and the Octagon.
Sure. Man, I bet growing up in like around that was, it must have been such an amazing experience, and I guess to have been around that when it was happening. And I mean, like, obviously, like, you know, we kind of like enjoy some of that music from that era still now a lot. And like, I just like imagine hearing it for the first time. I bet it would have been amazing, and just like the atmosphere and the timing of kind of when those things are happening, I guess.
We used to love to like be in a club and you would hear something break. They love to break new records, which house DJs love to do. House DJs love to break new music. Okay, so we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, this slower groove comes out, and you don't know what it is, but it's so hot. It was "What Is Love" from Delight, and Delight grew within weeks. Like it just became the hottest record. So we used to love to hear it, and then they came to perform at the Octagon one night, and the first song they performed was a quirky little faster number that a lot of the kids in there, they didn't know what it was, so nobody was like really paying it any attention.
Right.
And it was Grooves in the Heart. Well,
Ah,
within one week, the next week at the Sound Factory, it had blown up, and it
right.
was all over everywhere. And it was like they were right here performing for you guys, and you didn't even know it. So that we would get all kinds of prizes like that. You'd hear this one song take off. Junior Vasquez made 2 songs. Well, he made more, but speaking of Sound Factory specifically, he used to make tracks and he would test them out inside the Sound Factory. Well, it was 2 of them that he held on to for approximately 2 years. And one of them was Work This Pussy.
Yes.
And the other one was Dub Break. And what happened was there was a lot of, at that time on Saturdays, it was like the ballroom crowd, a lot of vulgars and runway walkers and stuff like this. So they connected with these songs, but he would only play them if the energy was really, 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 really high. I mean, people screaming, people walking, the club just in a frenzy. And you would hear him over the mic throughout the night saying battle, battle, battle. And he's telling you to do this throughout the night. But once it reached the fever pitch, he may or may not play it. We've been he'll tease you with the songs that Work This Pussy, and everybody go, and he will never play it. The club ended at 12 o'clock the next day. You're like, what happened? He said, it didn't get it. I didn't feel it. So then the next week you would come in there and things would happen. All of a sudden, 4 o'clock in the morning, it would come on and the crowd would lose it. But he would never put it out. No one else had it. So you can only go to the Sound Factory to hear it. So those were the kinds of things that we used to love to do. Like you would get certain treats, or they would make something, or David Cole from CNC Music Factory would come in and put his keyboard up on the console and actually play live. These things happen like clockwork.
Yeah, it seemed to be like a place that just, it obviously was like, an institution in its own right and hugely influential. But yeah, it just felt like it was one of those places that just attracted, lots of different people, but people at like a high level, I guess, and just was like a bit of a breeding ground for a lot of great things, But moving on, so at what point, like, would that be in your like, your kind of formative experience? Like, what came first, like producing or DJing, and like, how did that kind of like evolve and come about?
Well, what happened was I had gotten to be an exchange student, and I actually went to Italy for school. And when I got there, in between learning how to speak Italian, I was constantly getting music, and I was constantly getting music on CDs just to have them. Anything that came out new, I was getting, and it was like a weekly thing because music arrived on Tuesdays, and I was stacking up all this hip hop, all these R&B things because I had to go listen to house to see if I liked it. But hip hop, you knew the group, so I was mounting all this music, and the Italians wanted me to play in the club. Well, I was not a DJ. I knew the concept behind mixing and everything, but I wasn't a DJ per se. But since I had all this music, why not? So they put me in front of a console and I played. I stacked up the great songs and everything, and let everybody dance. And it was cool. but I wanted to play house. So I actually became a DJ first.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started to make CDs for people, I used to put a little funny little sketch in the beginning of them. And I would pitch my voice up and say something and bring on a little like intro.
Yeah.
And once I started playing with production, and I was also emceeing at the time, my hip house, and I had my drum machines. I was making little beats I used to add my voice to, and it started me in production. And once I started doing that, I started making little intros and adding them. Fast forward to Detroit, when I returned from Italy, I was DJing. I'd already gotten into the house mode and everything. Was making still these little productions just for friends, not putting them out, not putting music out. I got to Detroit, and the people for the party came very late, almost 4:00 in the morning. So I was running out of music that was already out, and I hate to repeat songs. And so the people that were giving the event, they showed up, and I was like, yeah, we're running out of songs. They said, oh yeah, well, just give us another hour so we can get ready to go. I'm like, another hour? I'm like, okay. And I started to play my productions. And when when the people heard it, they turned around and they reacted to it. And they said, what are these songs coming from? I said, oh, these are mine. I said, I got to make it to these. We can play this all night. So that's when people started knowing that I was producing music. I had never given it to anyone to try. In the moment of just having a full stack of my stuff. And it worked.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, I think like how long were you in Italy for?
I was in Italy twice. So it was a combination of 8 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew it was quite a bit of time from conversations that we had before. Like, what yeah, like how did the music over there kind of like, I guess, influence, or what was kind of really going on there at the time? And obviously, like, coming
Well,
from the US, I bet it was.
I will tell you this. I will tell you this. It was the greatest thing ever to go there. When I first arrived in November of, what was it, 90 something. When I first arrived in November, it was close to Thanksgiving, our Thanksgiving from the States.
Yeah.
And what the Italians did, God bless them, they adopted everybody's holiday. So they went along with what we were doing, and they also included another holiday with them. When I got up to go to my orientation, I was led to not a school bus, but a charter bus. And when I got on the charter bus, all I heard was house. It was 6:30 in the morning. I mean, Soulful House, Louis Vega House, Kenny Dope House, David Morales type. They were playing the songs. And I'm like, oh my God, must be a mix. But it wasn't a mix. It was a station. It was my soon-to-be home Ibiza radio dance station, and they played 24 hours of house.
Amazing.
They played the same type of house we were dancing to on the East Coast, and they're proud to be on the 91st parallel, if you know the equator, because if you flip the world in half, Naples is going to wind up in New York. So they're very proud of that fact. But they played the exact same thing. Now this is before all social media, before you could online record stores and everything. So I was able to get there and speak a language that they understood, which was music. We were all loving the same music. And what I didn't know was that they had a very huge house scene. But I found out quickly because I made friends and I said, hey, where are they doing all this music that I'm hearing on the radio? You guys have to have clubs. It's, oh yeah, we have beautiful clubs and this and that. But they kept taking me to small clubs and smaller bars. And I said, no, I want to go to a big club. I want to go to a big club. Let me see what it looks like. I want to see it. Yeah. Because I'm hearing all my friends and people that I know on the radio, all the DJs, but I'm not seeing that here. So the first club they took me to was one called Egyptia. And it was crazy because it's in a town that you go into, and it's like hidden away. You have to drive through this tall grass to get to it. So once you get in the clearing, you see the club. It was beautiful. Went inside. I was the weirdest looking thing. I had on the baggy jeans, the Timberlands, the goose down jacket, everything. And they were a bit more dressed, you know, but they looked at you like, where did you come from? So I looked like I came off a video. So they stared at me, and I'm like, just put the music on and just let me do my thing. And they put the music on, and I started to dance, and that's when everything just opened up. Dancing opened up for me. It broke down speech barriers, everything else. So the music that they had, even their music, the Italian music, they played. Now, they don't get me wrong, they had traditional dance music for them, you know, pop music. They have every type of music that we would have here or that you would have in the UK. All the different sub genres, but in Italian as well. But the majority of people that played house that I was associated with played American music, played English music, because they had, I found out working with my team, Angels of Love, they brought Justin Bergman over, Roy the Roach Marsh over, you know, Pete Tong over, all these people from UK. I'm like, oh, so my team was getting the hottest DJs around the world to come play for us. And we were in that same mode of what we were listening to. So it was, like I said, it was one of the best things ever.
Amazing. And yeah, I guess obviously like with like having the sound factory around you kind of growing up, and obviously like ballroom culture being around you from that kind of first moment, like how did your sort of relationship to it, like obviously when it comes to like playing a lot of balls that I've been aware of more in recent years, like how did that all come about? Was that just like a natural progression over the years? Was that done like, you know, did you start specifically doing that later on, or like when did that kind of like, how did that sort of evolve over the years?
Playing at balls.
Mm-hmm.
Ballroom, like I said, when I started to make these creations for my friends, you know, I would give them CDs or cassettes or whatever. Someone suggested, said, why don't you play for a ball? And I'm like, oh my God, I wouldn't even, because I really wasn't attending balls like that. I had been to a few of them. I had been with the ballroom people as long as I can remember in the clubs, but I was not one in a house, nor was I playing for balls.
Yeah.
And my friend had gotten me to get hired in Detroit to play for a ball. And I went out there and I brought all this music, and I was setting it up because I'm thinking in my head, it's a music fiend. Oh man, I'm gonna play this and this and this, and I know I'm just ready to go play, and no one is reacting, and I'm like, why are you not reacting? And I didn't get it because on the East Coast, New York and DC and whatnot, if I played, you know, they were reacting to the songs. But a ball is a different thing. When you get into a ballroom, it's not just you DJing, even though I was playing the right songs for them to move. And this is also the era of the, I want to say, the plastic, as they call it in Italy, but it's called ecstasy.
Yeah.
So some of them kids, they come to the spot and they were sitting there like this and not doing anything. So I'm like, okay, what am I doing? But there were other people, especially some of the older people that were in there. And they were, oh my God, where did you come from? Where's this music? Who are you? And I'm, giving them my information. So Detroit, I'm playing all this music, and I jumped up and played one song, and it was the hot dance. And when the hot dance came on, it seemed like everybody and their mother jumped up in that building. And they were doing, there was the beginning of Vogue Femme, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4 syncopation. And I was pissed. I'm like, you waited all night for this after all the music I played. Why? And I let them do it, do their thing. And I kept mixing and the ball went on. Now, when the ball came on, they were full of life.
Yeah.
Everything was great, but I'm used to people at the beginning of the ball stretching out, working for, practicing and all thing. But and now that's everywhere too. But like I said, at that time, it was an ecstasy thing. So it was a little bit enhanced and, something happened. But I went home and I got really pissed about bringing all that music and nobody moving. And then I got the honor to go back to Detroit a couple of weeks later and do another ball. And I did the same thing. And they did the same thing. And in the middle of putting on the high, they jumped up and did it again. And I cut off the turntable. And when I cut off the turntable and they wound down, that's when I played my remix. And when it came on, they really went off. And then I stopped it. And they looked and said, no, put it on. I said, you'll get it later. And that began the whole thing. That first remix came out. They were voguing so hard, and it was full of drama. It just became its own thing. It became at a ball, specifically balls in Detroit and Chicago, it became the only song that you were going to vote to.
Right.
So it just for me, it told me to make more, which is what I did, and I kept progressing and working at more balls and setting the tone and the pace for all this. So that's how I really got into playing a lot at the balls.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've only had like a small insight to it a few, like, over the like, I don't know, last probably like 7 years in the US. Like, I've seen, saw you play at the Latex Ball, which was like this huge event, which, and then like it, where was it? Like West Manhattan. I can't remember the name of the area.
That was off the West Side Highway, but that's like Midtown Manhattan, because that was not area.
It was something like that.
Yeah, it's
but
yeah,
yeah, like
I keep forgetting.
It was like multi-floored, like event. The main event was on the ground floor, but there's lots of different viewpoints. Like, yeah, like big calendar event of the year, and even just like speaking in communication to you about, there was like daytime balls or like events in the park, like for certain people. There was like, and then obviously going to see Mike play at Vogue nights, like kind of a short period of time, and yeah, just like the energy at the events and like just athleticism, like the art form, the music, like everything that's kind of like involved in the culture is just like, yeah, amazing to see. And obviously like seeing you kind of like, work within that sphere versus kind of seeing you play in a club in London is like obviously completely different. So yeah, I like how obviously this year's switched things up a little bit in terms of obviously like live events, but like leading up to that, like how long were you involved with the Latex Ball, and like how is that all kind of structured on the East Coast in the US?
Well, the Latex Ball is it's not just Ballroom, it's another agency that works through Health Crisis and everything, GMHC. They partnered up with Ballroom and created the Latex Ball. The Latex Ball is, they have so much health and resources and supplies and stuff that they give out. And they do this during a ball. It's available for everyone. Everyone can come and attend and have. But it is like the highlight ball of the year, aside from your individual annual balls, like each state has a ball, like the New York Awards Ball, Washington DC Awards Ball. This is the biggest ball of the year. It's the Latex Ball, and people come from all over for this. When I got to the latex ball, this was my second time coming back from Italy. And I actually went to the ball with Angel X and Mike Q.
Yeah.
And we were sitting up on the balcony, and we decided to get up and go see the other DJ who played there, the New York legendary Carlton, who had played at all the balls in New York. But there are a lot of ball DJs, but Carlton was the one that I really knew of. Junior Vasquez played at the ball, the very first one. David DePino, Fred Pierce, Count Maurice, and a few others had played at these balls. So when Carlton got a hold of it, if you're listening to balls from the 90s, you see 98 to like 80s to 90s, it's Carlton that's playing. So we went to meet him. I'd already met him before. We went down there to say hello because we were the new DJs there, and I was there, and then Mike and Angel. And I came back down there, and he said, "Hey, do you have anything new?" Because the Vogue category was coming up. I said, "Well, I got something in my bag," because we were supposed to go to another event.
Yeah.
Angel X and I were supposed to go to. Mike had left. Angel and I were supposed to go to another event at the Karate Club. They had an after party. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I have something so I was carrying music. And he said, well, go ahead. So I sat there, and you're at the latex ball, and you're watching it, and you put on a beat. And the way I started to play, everybody got into me. Said, no, keep going, keep going. So we were going to be late for the party anyway. Mm-hmm. So Angel went ahead, and I just sat there playing. So at the end of the latex ball, they came down to me and said, hey, we like what you did and everything. I said, well, thank you. And then they started to get me to play for the latex ball. Carlton would come in. We would work together. Then Carlton had, at the same time in August, there's a lot of stuff going on. So he had other events to play at. So it became, he would supply the system and I would play the ball.
Got it.
And that's how I started to play at the latex ball.
Amazing. Yeah, that was the impression I got. It was like the sort of the main event of
mm-hmm.
But like,
it is
I guess, how's the community around you like reacted to lockdown and everything else that's been going on? Has everybody been staying safe? Whatnot?
Well, everyone for the most part is staying safe. Even the states that have things that are opened up, yeah. They're in venues that have much more space. The people are masked up. They are sanitized down. They do have cleaning crews. I've been to, like I said, the 3 major balls that came up, and they went out above and beyond and out of their way to make it a clean and safer environment. But it really has what the lockdown has done is made ballroom very, very innovative, which they've always been.
Yeah.
We can't see each other too much. We can't be with each other. But while this was going on, remember, Italy was the first country that we saw truly locked down.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, think back a little bit. 2 years ago, I was hit to do a TV show, and we were having a meeting on Zoom. Hey, Zoom. And I remember when I first got it, I didn't know anything about it. And the woman was explaining it to me, and she was like, oh, yeah, you can have about, so many people on at the same time and blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay. And we got on there, and it was clear, and the picture was there, and you were able to move things around. Okay. So fast forward, when Italy was locked down, what I noticed is I used to go see my people all the time. I would go see them on Instagram or whatever, and I would see a little Zoom call. They had 3 people in the Zoom call. They had 5. Next thing you know, they had 19. And I was like, oh, they're using Zoom. This is good.
Yeah.
And then my friend out of Finland comes out with the online ball, the first online ball. And I was like, huh? How are you going to do that? So I'm like looking at it, and he explained it, because you can have the people on your screen lined up. 2 people in, they battle, you have your judges, and they pick. and it went off without a hitch. You know, it got better with the commentator and the music and how you get the music and hear it. But ballroom didn't stop. It didn't take one hiccup, because now there's international online balls, international festivals, you know, the iRig thing. Big O is sitting up there paying people for content, so they're having balls and meetings and discussions. We're doing in a series of election balls now. The last one is tonight. You should watch it. But it's incredible. And sometimes you think, well, you don't have the fact, you can't be by each other. But then something else happens. When you're in a ball, depending on the space, depending on the room you have, sometimes you can't execute what you're trying to show fully. Especially, I'm going to use the runway category. But the other night, 2 nights ago, the runway people, they were in just I mean, awesome settings. Someone was walking in an amusement park, and they were using all the foliage as a runway, and he had on the space helmet, and then the lights, they had their own lights. Someone came out of a car yesterday for best dress out of a Rolls Royce and smoke bombs. And it was like in a venue, sometimes they let you smoke bombs, sometimes not, because you know the sulfur and all that. They really don't want that in there. But you're watching someone do this, or they're in a setting, or someone came up a long escalator for best dress, and you're watching coming, and they're like giving you drama coming up. It was crazy, but that's something that can work outside of ballroom online.
Yeah, definitely.
So it really tripped me out that these things were happening. It's like the creativity and the innovation doesn't stop. So really, this made us look at another thing to incorporate into ballroom, especially when we get back together. Because now, if you want someone internationally to judge at your ball, but they can't make it, guess what? Put up a video screen.
No, they can't.
And they'll still be there.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, man. Like, I need to dig into what you're describing, because it sounds amazing. And like, yeah, I guess when everyone's able to be IRL again, it just adds like another layer of like video content that may or may not have been done before. But like in the most case, like, yeah, it sounds, yeah, it definitely hasn't stopped the creativity, and that's amazing to hear.
No.
That's amazing to hear.
Yeah, this you know, COVID has not been good to anyone, but COVID has made a lot of people remember how to think, how to innovate, how to be creative. It made us appreciate being together and speaking to people, because they've been running their mouths like crazy. You're texting, but yeah, I'm gonna look at me. You know, it's brought people together a lot more.
Yeah.
It has. And I will definitely say that being in those last 3 balls over the last month, seeing the same people that you knew all this time, it was reinvigorating to see a person. You know, the human touch can't be missed. It can't be duplicated.
Yeah, exactly. It's yeah, I've been speaking to other people about it, and yeah, it's been a while now, so it's going to be interesting when we'll be able to be back in real life again, you know. But,
oh yeah, because I had to come get my apples and dirty chicken.
Exactly, man. I knew that apples and dirty chicken were going to come up. But yeah, for those who don't know, like, I think the last couple of times Von's been over, yeah, that was end of the night, dirty chicken from the house, accompanied by some cider from the shop. So
yes, and the creation of the urge.
Yeah, that was so funny. Yeah, that was just like born out of the story of you telling me about the Mr. C, like, kind of confessional interview on, was it Hot 97?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. I'm like, we laughed so hard. And I came home and I made it. I said, look, this can't stop.
Yeah, it was.
That was hilarious.
It was definitely a moment, and yeah, man, it was good to hear that make it onto the dance floor.
Yeah, it was like, someone got in trouble for playing it, and we actually explained it to the people how it was meant.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, oh, okay, well, we understand it, but the DJ kind of was belligerent when they first attacked him. And I was like, no. I was like, just explain it to them. And, they understood what I meant by it. And it could have gone a different way about it, but it was, calling someone out for what they were doing.
Yeah.
And that was that. But it was well received. It was crazy, but
So let's talk about kind of releases then, I guess. Yeah, like
oh
what
yeah.
yeah, what have you got coming up and what are you working on at the minute? Yeah, kind of what's the latest on the production front?
Well, for production, this COVID, this whole time period has been very good creativity wise for me. I've been finishing up and creating new things. So much material is getting ready to come out. Quantize. I've just delivered an album to them. They want me to deliver another mixed album of Quantize music and a few singles. Sold Out House is coming. Also, I've on the Elite Beat side because I separate them. Um, because you're part of it. We have the Grimy Cunt series coming out, which we just remixed, which was me flexing again and doing grime, and then having a group of friends of mine um, remix it their way, including Mr. Trax Couture,
Yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Rushmore.
Thanks for asking.
Yes.
I slept on the parts that you sent over for a minute. I think I was like 2 months late replying to your initial email, which was like,
Well,
yeah,
that's good because a lot of people I didn't we have a bunch of Elite Beats remixers, and what I don't want us to do is just automatically make the song into a ballroom track.
yeah,
Um, because I've heard other stuff that they've done. So I'm like, here's something that's not typical me,
mhm.
but take these and make it into something that you do. And you did a stellar remix. A lot of other people did mixes and they turned around, and they did another mix, and it turned out much better. And I'm like, so a lot of people had the same reaction. So it's like it was something to make them think, and it the package is really good. Uptown Nico, Native Son, DJ Icy from Germany, um, Lawful Ninja, Cartel. I haven't made another mix. I think we're just going to use my original and go from there. But it's about 7 or 8 mixes of it.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean,
So
super happy to be part of the involvement on that, and yeah, I loved it. I love remixing it. The original track's sick. Can't wait for people to hear it all. So yeah,
mm-hmm.
and then anything else on the horizon, or what else are you kind of working on at the minute?
Oh yeah, so it's a lot of ballroom stuff on the horizon. I've remixed. I'm trying to figure out where he's going to use it. How he's going to put it out. Byrell the Great, I've remixed with him. Some people coming out, a lot of new stuff from me. Me and Ultra Terry, me and Sheila Ford. There's a song that I've done. It's a remake of mine called Hot Grapes. It utilized Gladys Knight and the Soho track Hot Music. And I put it together and it went out to DJs specifically. And the record company likes and they couldn't take it, so they went and asked Miss Gladys Knight would she sing on it or give her blessing to have someone, sing in her stead. And she likes it. So we don't know if she's gonna sing it or not, but if she says yes, woo, it'll be something.
Yeah,
So we're just on, how she feels about singing. I'm like, please, 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 please. So
do you?
we'll see. Yeah, but it's so much stuff coming. It's so much music coming. I didn't know that I finished this much. I've done music with Caswell, which just got released. It's a lot of people, and doing the voting thing, doing the Jack Mizrahi Gucci. It's just so much coming.
Yeah, it sounds like you've been busy, and it's good to hear all of the other projects that are coming out. And what about events? Like, are there other bits that are coming up, or how's that looking for the US right now between now and Christmas?
Well, the events coming up, they're steady getting a string of them in. Just got Atlanta again. Someone just asked about November, so it's trickling in as states open up. But I still say I cannot wait to see the first one to come across the pond, because I can't wait. And I'm talking to our friends daily in the international ballroom scene. They're setting things up, of course, way down the line.
Yeah.
But we want it closer up this line, but we'll wait and see, make sure everything's safe and everyone's safe. But the events, as far as the states, not just balls, but parties in general, they're getting it together, really getting it together. So it's good to hear.
Yeah, it sure is, man. Like, we're still like the government was saying this last week that, the industry, they were just kind of dismissing it basically, and they're not really willing to open things up. And yeah, like, I've got like friends of friends that have been to Italy, and friends that live in Germany, and like, I think everyone was sort of a lot more, I don't know, obedient like over the last few months, and they're almost back to normal there. Whereas over here, it's still like restricted and stuff. So I guess now where like everything's in a sort of different stage of dealing with it, it's kind of it's interesting to see how different countries and cities are going to be reacting, and when they're going to open up, and how does that work. I think some clubs in Asia have reopened. But yeah, it's a slow burn, I guess. But yeah, and what else have you got planned between now and the end of the year? You just kind of like obviously got a lot of music coming out, DJing gigs as and when they happen. You got any trips planned or anything like that?
I have, of course, yes, a lot of music is coming out. Now we're waiting for the scheduling of it, because now they have it in their hands. Like, oh, we're going to put it off here. We're going to do it here. Events, the ballroom calendar is getting back, so now they're snatching up events and snatching you up to play for them. Other events, I think something that's going to stay with us for a while are online events. This is something that opened up and is going to stay. With at least the availability to have the event and online. But I think what they're going to do to make sure that they make their money, that you can go to the event, they want you to spend money, that they're going to show an online event, but they're going to show only certain things. Because a lot of people, if I can't go, I'm going to stay at home and watch it anyway. And well, I can watch your live and I don't have to pay for it. So I'm pretty sure they're going to work it in a way where you don't see everything unless you actually keep it up.
Unless you pay. I think
but they're going to allow it to a certain point, because they want people to see it and all that kind of thing. So
yeah, I think, to be honest, man, I think that's the way forward. Like, the more I think about, I know it's different, but like, if there's going to be restrictions for a long time, it's not like you don't get any enjoyment out of like watching something digitally rather than being there. Obviously, the experience is much different. But it's still being able to like interact with something that you enjoy and that you're passionate about. Do you know what I mean? So I think like digital events are definitely going to be like the way forward. And like you said, whether it's like you might only be able to watch it live for like 10, 15 minutes and then you have to pay, or like there's like, there's some sort of restrictions around what you can see. And yeah, it might not be that ticket price is the same price as going to it in real life, but you know, it still means that there's like another source of revenue for like the promoters and people to make that money back.
Definitely.
Yeah, I definitely think it's the way forward. And like you said, even if it's like a combination of the both, that's I was speaking to somebody else the other week and just saying that like I really think that we're going to see like lots of different like experimentation, like business models of the way things are going to work, because like thinking as a club owner now is restricted by how they can make, you know, pay the bills. It's like they're going to need to adapt how the way they work or what they offer or how they make it. You know, they might do something completely different, or they might do something related, or so yeah, doing the digital and the physical, if you're able to, is kind of like seems like a happy medium where you can still do both or one or the other. But yeah, I think yeah, it's going to be interesting to see watching everything unfold and how it unfolds. Like do you say I'm not sure. Are international flights between UK and US like allowed yet?
I think the UK and the US, I think it's been allowed. Okay. I think they wanted to. I'm sorry. I think they wanted to make sure. My job, pretty much. They threw a little restriction down about us going overseas and whatnot, but they're lifting that. But I actually think UK and the US has been allowed since this started, to be honest.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I guess there's obviously
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure because my brother's in Chicago, so I don't know. I mean, he hasn't come back, but then I think it was just advised not to travel, really, wasn't it? So even though there may have been flights going, like, yeah, wouldn't necessarily been the best thing to do. But yeah, I mean, obviously clubs aren't open, so in terms of like DJing, it's like unless you want to come and just hang out, then.
Hey, you know, to me that would be a vacation to sit up there and take the apples every day, you know.
Yeah, okay.
What's my boy? I can't think of the mouse, man. The dreadlock mouse. Yeah, what's his name? Oh no, he's like Rasta Mouse.
Rasta Mouse, yeah. Yeah, that's jokes. Yeah, I think that's Reggie Yates, like the radio presenter. I think it's his voice. He like does the voiceover for Rasta Mouse. It's pretty jokes. Cool, man. So like, yeah, I guess before we wrap up, is there anything that you want to, I don't know, share, shout out, big up? Yeah, anything else?
Definitely, I definitely want to big up, definitely London scene, London's ballroom scene. There is, you know, you're one of the smaller ballroom scenes, but you've made the impact. You've made the world look at you, and you know you've become a viable and thriving bed of talent over there. Big up to the London scene as far as music. You know, I miss you guys. I miss you, Miss Sam, Miss you know, birthday. Every place else. Especially what's the other place? I'm thinking about it. The one at the 3-story out that we just played at. The other year. Camden Assembly, all of that. King's College, thank you so much for the exposure. And they're still hitting me up about that appearance. Love you all, King's College. Everywhere over there. Piccadilly Circus, who was playing my music out there. I don't know who it was, but they were blasting Bandit.
Amazing.
Blasting it, yeah. Thank you so much. It's, you know, all the DJs, the UK DJs, Cartel, of course, you and Ben, Mr. Turo, everybody, Contracts, like I said, everybody. I just miss you guys.
Yeah, man. It's been too long, man. We need to have a reunion. Yes. For sure.
It's been way too long.
Indeed, man. Indeed. Cool. Well, yeah, let's wrap it up here. It's amazing to talk. It's great to get an insight on like how your creativity has kind of flourished, I guess, in the last few months. Super excited to be a part of the next few releases, and obviously like what all the other releases that are coming along as well. So yeah, thanks again, man. I'm sure we should catch up again soon, man.
Oh yeah, we will.
For sure, man. Peace.
All right. Later.
Later.